Hi, I'm Robert, and my job today is retaliation. This is my friend John, and he made the unfortunate choice of writing a rap about me. Now, John apparently doesn't understand how battle raps or diss tracks work because it was highly complimentary, thus leaving me in his debt. And if there's one thing you don't want me to be, it's in your debt, because I will pay you back 7 times over. Now, I can't rap, so today I'm going to paint a picture of John. Now, John's a great guy. Be easy to paint his picture because all I have to do is capture his innate nobility, his weightiness, his love of froofy girly drinks and fancy hats. So here I'm going to start with a piece of plywood I had in my shop and some acrylic paints and paintbrushes made for children. And I'm just going to start slapping stuff on here until I like it. So my basic technique is to, load up my brush with something that approximates some colors that I think John might have, and then swipe them around until I either wreck it or decide I can't do any better. If that's not the correct technique, please let me know in the comments. Wrong answers only. I'm actually not interested in painting at all. But that actually puts me in mind of a parable, which I will tell you now. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. There was a certain man who was a painter of the Flemish school, and he lived in a commune for artists such as himself. One morning he walked down to the studio at the end of the hall to borrow some paint from his neighbor, and he said, "Dear friend, rejoice with me, for I am currently painting perhaps the greatest work of art I will ever paint. When it is unveiled, men will weep openly in the streets, and women will swoon repeatedly. I expect to sell it for an enormous sum and cement my reputation as a great artist. Only, I've just run out of burnt sienna paint. Loan me, therefore, what you are able, and you will also have a part in my success." The painter down the hall said, "Honored sir, no doubt you would wish me to give you my paints, and why not my brushes, and my beret also? But consider, please, am I not at least as good an artist as yourself? Indeed, I rather think I have a superior sense of line and hue, and in fact, I also have been contemplating beginning my own masterpiece. I don't anticipate financial reward only, but have much loftier goals, that of changing the hearts and minds of our countrymen, and of many yet far off. In fact, I have no plans per se to use burnt sienna paint in my own work, but certainly you can see that I could not possibly spare any to give to you, since even the possibility of my need must outweigh your own actual need. Although I hate to refuse you, I am sure you can see that this is for your own good, after all." So the man went away sad. In the afternoon, he paid a visit to his neighbor in the corner studio, and he said, "Dear friend, I really hate to bother you, since you no doubt are a most capable and promising artist, but I have just been working on a painting of my own, which is typical of my work, being generally rectangular and materially consisting of canvas stretched across a wooden frame and then daubed with paint, some here and some there. When complete, I have slight hopes of selling it for a modest sum of money, which I will then use in exchange for goods and services. Unfortunately, I have been slightly exuberant with my burnt sienna paint and have run out. Is there any possibility that you have extra that I might borrow?" The painter in the corner studio said, "Honored sir, nothing would please me more than to be the instrument of a fellow artist's success. However, I fear you may have understated the unfortunate nature of your use of burnt sienna paint. Surely you must know that burnt sienna is the primary color used by the Dutch school of painting, which we must abhor in all its ways. The official Flemish school style guide clearly commands that we paint rather, using mostly light blue. Indeed, I have doubts that burnt sienna is even a color of paint at all, with some texts translating it to mean a minor mountain range in the Central Americas, and others as a handful of very small caterpillars. The scholars believe that the text has been corrupted, obviously. Although it is hard for you now, please believe that this is for your own good. So the man went away sad again. In the evening, he was wandering aimlessly in the garden when he stumbled upon his friend from the studio in the upper garret, who was responsible for him joining the collective in the first place. He said to him, "Dear friend, I'm very glad to see you here because there is a problem that I have that perhaps you can help me with. You see, I have been half-heartedly working on a minor annoyance of a painting on some uninspired subject matter, and steadily growing more and more certain that, if it should ever see the light of day, I would be drummed out of the commune and my professional reputation would be ruined. The problem is, I've already used very much expensive paint, including a great quantity of burnt sienna, which I would hate to see go to waste. Please allow me, therefore, to scrape it off my canvas and reconstitute it with turpentine for your own use, that I may be free of the infernal work." The painter from the upper garret said, "What is this I hear? Surely you don't intend to give up on the gifts that you have been given. Don't you know that we are all responsible as stewards for what we have? For example, I have just learned that I have a very wealthy uncle who has died, leaving me a vast inheritance. I intend to live up to it carefully, by buying a great deal of property in the big city and oppressing the poor, as appropriate to the newly rich. I have already begun giving away my painting supplies to you less fortunate bumpkins. Indeed, all I have left is my burnt sienna paint. I was going to give it to the painter at the end of the hall, but then I found out he was trying to change the hearts and minds of the common man, which neither I nor the common man will endure. Then I was going to give it to the painter in the corner studio, and had to quickly come up with some other excuse to be there when I realized he was anti-Dutch school. So now you take it. Finish your work. I vow to take my first extorted usury payments and buy your work for more than it's worth, and then bribe a public official to display it in a government building so that you gain the reputation that I know you deserve." Judge for yourself now. Which painter was the man's true friend? So, if you or somebody you know understands this dark saying, please post it in the comments below. Or don't. Whatever. If you understand the mysteries of the painting of John, that's good for you. That doesn't mean that you have to spill the beans. In fact, it may be better if you, once again, give only wrong answers. I wonder, should I talk about this painting at all? I don't really feel like it. There's nothing much to talk about. It's just, look, there's a guy with a drink. He's got his pinky up. That's pretty fancy. That's supposed to be a strawberry on the glass. Sombrero. This is actually, I'm using reference material more or less. I do have a picture of John that we took in a restaurant one time. He doesn't really look like this, but I don't know if that's because I'm not a very good painter, or I like to say that the painting is maybe more true than the photograph is, because this, I feel, captures John the way he truly is. A man of class and distinction. Eyebrows. Oh, those are good. Eyebrows really help. Well, I think we gotta give that drink a name. Otherwise, people really aren't gonna understand the painting. Let's see, it's gotta be like an animal name. Let's call it the Flamingo of a Million Regrets. Oh, that's pretty good. Well, come up later what's inside it. And then you can order it from your local bartender, if you're into that sort of thing. In the meanwhile, there it is. All that's left is to put it in a fancy frame and sneak it into John's house at night and try not to get shot by his wife. Oh, it's beautiful. Just like John.